Welcome to Vin and Mike, episode 13. Look at old lucky 13, Mike. How about that?
Just rocking out the music here.
That's right. I know you love this music. I don't know if we ever even told the story about the music, but we were searching for music like everything else with this show, and realized we couldn't, play any music that's copyrighted because we'd have to pay somebody and all this stupid stuff that comes along with all that, even though it's just like a 10-second clip. So that is actually non-copyrighted music.
This is beautiful, non-copyrighted funk music.
Funky funk.
Show every week. Episode 13. Can't believe it.
I know.
Can't believe it.
I know. It's been a lot of fun. And with episode 13, we have our first returning guest and guest host, a good friend of mine for many years, and now a friend of yours, Mike, Andy Vigilati, who's part of ViggyBets. Andy, how are you, brother?
It's good to be back. So episode 2 and episode 13. Those are my lucky numbers.
There you go. Play them in roulette.
That's it. Head out to Vegas for episode, that would be, every 24.
There you go. Make some plans for it.
So if anyone hasn't followed Andy, he is at ViggyBets on Twitter, on Instagram. He's got a great service where, he puts out all his top picks for the night, over-unders, and then really the big reason we have him back on today is we're going to talk a little MLB and no-run first inning, which is a lot of fun. He'll explain it again. I know he explained it back in episode 2, but have him explain it now that our audience has grown a little bit more and a little bit more mature since episode 2, and I know his followers are going to want to listen in to some of their free advice that he'll give tonight, and we'll go on that route tonight. And then Mike, what's going on your end? How you feeling over there?
Vinny knows I've been sick. I've been fighting the COVID, so been in and out of sleep. Trying to keep my sports knowledge up to date. Now I'm doing pretty good, Vinny. It was fun watching the Masters and had fun having your buddy Anthony on, who really gave some good advice.
Yeah,
as far as those picks.
Yeah,
Scotty Scheffler was one of the people that he said would be in contention, and he ended up winning by a lot.
Yeah.
So just some really good picks, fun to watch. And now we have NBA playoffs coming. And I think this year it's going to be more exciting because we don't really have super teams anymore. I guess you could say the Suns have been a super team, but people are talking more about the Lakers than the Suns.
I know.
And that kind of sucks because the Suns deserve the recognition the way they played this year.
The Suns are kind of a more organic super team, if that makes sense. I mean, you had Ayton, you have Booker all drafted with the Suns. I mean, you just add in Chris Paul, like a veteran free agent who's really helped them via trade a couple years ago, and that's really what's made the difference. So it's not like one of those LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade type of super teams. They're homegrown talent. Essentially.
Yeah, it's like the original Warriors team, right? With Steph and Clay and Draymond, and then they had Harrison Barnes back before they got Durant. But that original team that won the championship, all those guys were drafted. And if I'm right, I think Clay and Barnes and Draymond, they were drafted the same year or something like that. So that's a good point that you make. A lot of those guys are drafted. It gives a lot of props to the front office there, and Phoenix. Won 65 games this year. I think they're the favorite going into the playoffs. So should be kind of interesting to see how this all plays out. I know we got some playing games tomorrow, and we'll dig into a little bit of that, but I do want to go back real quick on the Masters, into Anthony about the Scotty Scheffler thing, where he actually, told us that he put the bet in about a month ago before he was on the show. That was his guy, and was really excited to put that bet in. I think he said 40 or 50 to 1 originally, and then of course it went down as he won tournaments and as it got closer. But I think even last Monday it was still 12-1. So hopefully some of our listeners listened in last week, put some money on him, put some money on Morikawa, who we also liked as a top 10 kind of golfer. So, that's the thing, we like about, doing these shows with guys like Anthony and Andy is their knowledge of the sport and what they do as far as bringing that knowledge to people that follow them and listen to them. And, like we say, betting, if you're above that 50 percentile mark, you're doing well. So, I think that's really what we're trying to bring to our audience every week.
I also wanted to acknowledge Tiger just making the cut and just what he accomplished. It was just great seeing him there.
Yeah.
And, even though he didn't make the top 20, still a huge accomplishment to make that cut.
Yeah. I think I told you I went to the gym Thursday morning, and every TV on in the gym had the Golf Channel on. I'm like, they're waiting for a Tiger to tee off here at 11 o'clock. They're already getting set up, with the TVs, and it's a Thursday tee off, and it takes a while for all that, but he brings just a tremendous amount of exposure to golf and people that are into golf all the time. He's their guy. He's probably one of the biggest sports stars we've ever seen in our history.
Yeah. I don't
Real
know.
quick. I was just going to say. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just watching golf in general, to me, it's such a complex sport. And I even have more just respect for these golfers because the accuracy, you're competing against the wind. You have to have, which clubs you're going to use, those putts. I mean, it is not an easy game.
No.
And I mean, I just saw to even shoot like -1, -2, to see how hard that is to just stay on course with these other golfers and just have an advantage. It's just so difficult. So to be able to win a tournament like this, it has to gain a lot of respect because I think it's one of the hardest sports to play with what has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, just watching Scheffler on Sunday, the first 4 or 5 holes, he was driving the ball like all over the place. I mean, the ball was in the trees. He was hitting it like all over the place. And here's the number one golfer in the world right now who was dominating the tournament and came out and couldn't hit the ball straight. I've played golf once in my life.
I would love to see that.
And I was able to drive a ball about 250, maybe 300, but it went so far to the right that, I'm on the 18th green when I'm driving off the first hole. So, it's just so hard, especially when you play baseball and softball your whole life and trying to convert to like a golf swing. It's just so crazy, but it's just a very difficult sport to play. And I understand why people really like it that play, because it's so challenging and you want to shoot, those, for the amateur golfers that come in and shoot like a 90 on their first, par 72 and then get to like an 89 and an 88 and, so on and so forth as they lower it. So I can understand why they're so excited about it. And then when you see somebody like Tiger Woods who makes it seem so easy for a sport that's so hard, I think that's where everyone gravitates towards. I think that's why we gravitate towards athletes, in general, especially when we've played a particular sport, knowing how hard it is for us and then seeing what they do.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, we're at Andy on tonight. Again, at ViggyBets across Twitter and Instagram and everything to really talk about MLB. To me, he's one of the most knowledgeable people I know when it comes to Major League Baseball. I know he's got a big background in doing play-by-play for minor league teams. Me and him did an old podcast that was very popular back in the day about baseball. We had a lot of good baseball people on through time, and maybe one day we'll rehash all those people, Mike, and give you a real good rundown on that one of these days. But really want to see some of your thoughts, Andy. You know, early on with the baseball season, maybe explain maybe a little bit again what no run first inning is, some of your thoughts on it, and then what you look at, you know, maybe early in the season compared to as we start going on.
Yeah. So, guys, thanks for having me on as always. And so again, you can find me on Twitter at ViggyBets, and you can also see my subscriptions. Link in there with my Dub Club link that sends you right to my subscription page, and of course, all the plays will be texted right to you, which I feel like is a game changer in the betting industry. So you'll get all my no run first inning, yes run first inning, and so many more prop bets as well. So just to kind of give you guys an idea, give your listeners an idea what no run first inning is. It's essentially, as I just described, no runs in the first inning for either team. And it sounds so simple. It's the game starts scoreless, so you just need 3 outs on each side. That sounds really easy, and let's cash a bet. Well, it's not that easy. There's a lot that goes into it. There's pitchers that obviously struggle just to begin the game, right? You're thinking about it from a no-run first inning standpoint. You have a pitcher that's going up against the top 3 hitters, more than likely, in their lineup. Because managers these days, they want their top 3 hitters to bat in the first inning because A, it's the first inning, you have a chance to get off to a hot start, and B, if you bat in the top 30 of your lineup, chances are you're going to get an extra at-bat during the course of a game. So managers want their top 3 hitters in the lineup going in the first inning. So it makes it very challenging if you're a pitcher going up against guys that, A, have strive for contact, B, are the best hitters in your lineup, and 3, exude a lot of power. So those are your best guys. So if you're a pitcher and you're not ready for it and you're not, controlling the ball right away, you're nervous a little bit out of the gate, it presents a lot of potential issues. So no run first inning is, for me, it's very important from a pitching aspect. I don't really care what the lineup looks like when handicapping an NRF5 from the other side. I really don't. I care about the one thing I can control is what or how the pitcher is going to perform in that situation. What are his first inning numbers? What's his walk rate per 9? What's his K per 9? What's his home run per 9? Because home run per 9 is one of your most important stats. Because if he gives up a home run, solo shot, your bet's dead. It's as simple as that. So all that's really important. And in my chart, in my system, so to speak, I grade all of those plays, all of those statistics together. And all of that comes out to a grade, a numerical grade at the end of the day. It's got to be a certain point. It's got to be a certain number on both pitchers to qualify for a no-run first inning. I have to count on both pitchers to cash the no-run first inning. So, that's what it's all about. And on the flip side, there's the yes run first inning. If I believe that based on my grading, based off those same stats, that the pitcher is more likely to give up a run in the first inning, then that is a play as well. And it has to be on both pitchers. We can't have one ace going on one side and then, a crappy number 5 starter going on the other side. If one half of the inning doesn't yield me a run, I got to believe that the other half of the inning will. So it's really important that you're selective when it comes to those bets, because I know a lot of people are volume bettors on no run first inning and yes run first inning, and they get in a lot of trouble. They'll just pick the Jays and the Yankees because they're 2 great lineups, and there should be a run in that inning, right? Well, you have Manoah and you have Taillon, who are two pretty strong pitchers. It was not a no-run first inning in my playbook, but still, you got to think about all the aspects of the pitcher's numerical stats. So for me, that's how I grade it all together, is kind of a cumulative formula of both pitchers. And they both need to align for me to either A, have a no-run first inning, or B, have a yes-run first inning, if that makes sense. Trying not to give away my secret sauce.
Yeah.
No, I just have a question, not to give away your secret sauce, but obviously it's the beginning of the season, and there's a lot of variance because it's all new and teams are playing each other for the first time.
Right.
So these no-run first innings, are you making these bets at the beginning of the season? You kind of wait maybe, after a quarter of the season to really get those stats? Are you going by stats by last season? How's that working right now?
It's a mix and match, Mike, between, what I saw last season compared to what his numerical career stats are. If I'm looking at a rookie, I try to be consistent when grading, either pitcher. So if I'm looking at stats from, say, a sophomore pitcher, I need to only go by 2021 is all I got for that pitcher. I'm going to go look at 2021 for the other pitcher as well, because I think it gives me, say, the closest from a historical standpoint for what that pitcher I could expect from that pitcher. Now, there's also the potential that, this guy had a fantastic 2021 season, but every other season was subpar or worse. Which side am I going to get from that? That's where I'm going to look at the career numbers and be a little bit more conservative. So I've only had through the season's first 5 days 4 NRFIs, because they're much harder to grade at the beginning of the season because there's limited data to support a decision, right? I'd like to go off 2022 data, but for the first month, it's going to be hard, right? Or at least for the first 2 weeks, we want to get a couple starts in for each pitcher. And the same goes for YRFIs. 5 days into the season, I've only had 2 YRFIs. Both were today. Thankfully, both cashed. So 2-0 on the YRFI front. I'm 3-1 on the no-run first inning front so far this year. So again, there's not a lot of plays on that front early on. If you're a true capper and you want to be the best at handicapping those 2 stats, it's not as easy as you think. If you're a volume bettor, you're going to lose the majority of those games because players change teams. Players get 1 year older, so their stuff may be different. They change teams. The pitchers change teams. Hitters change teams. Everything is different. So you really need to be conservative out of the gate. And as you get into the summertime, that's when the weather starts to get warmer. That's when hitters are kind of catching up to what the pitchers are throwing at them. They've made adjustments to these pitchers. So NRFIs tend to get very difficult during the summer months like June and July. So that's when my formula really, really comes into play. And that's when I unveiled my Viggy chart it was post All-Star break. I was struggling. I was really struggling, actually. I was only at 52% at the All-Star break last year because I was more of a volume guy. I was, pretty much doing everything I'm telling you not to do right now. I was a volume guy. I just kind of, bet with a feel and all that stuff without really any concrete data to support it. And that's when I got in trouble. I was only 52%. I took the All-Star break. I took that week and really said, okay, what is the formula that I need? I need to look at strikeouts. I need to look at walks. I need to look at home runs. I need to look at how they've done recently within the past month. I need to look at actual first inning data. I need to look at how do they fare when runners get on base? Do they get tense? Are they better with runners on base? Do they induce a lot of soft contact that way? Are they able to get out of it? So I put all those stats together. And once I did that and created that system, then I hit on 63% of no-run first innings the rest of that season last year. So it really does make a difference on how you categorize it, how you review, and so on and so forth. From a yes-run first inning standpoint, I think I finally have based on the same chart, a decision from a grading standpoint of when I play it. So it really depends on how bad the pitchers are. And today we saw 2 games where we had 2 really bad pitchers on the mound. At least in my chart says they're really bad. That was Colorado, Texas, right? We had Austin Gomber and we had Taylor Hearn. Taylor Hearn gave up a run in the first inning. And then we had the Red Sox. We had Michael Wacha for the Red Sox and Matt Manning, all pitchers that had a 5+ ERA in the first inning last season. Thank you to Michael Wacha for giving up a run to the Tigers in the first inning today, cashing our yes run. So, it's not just the no-run first inning and the yes run first inning. Those are really, really popular. But props are a lot of fun as well. You're over 1.5 total bases, your home run props, your strikeout props, all of those. We've been cashing. My VIP clients have been cashing at a huge rate so far this season. So that's also a lot of fun. And fading the Pirates on the road on the run line is a lot of fun too.
So everyone can get your VIP service right on your Twitter account, right? You just go to ViggyBets and there's a sign up right there.
It's in my bio. It's you'll see it's Dub Club. It's right, below my bio information, and of course I tweet it out pretty frequently as well on most of my recap tweets. So it's there as well, and you can also DM me. My direct messages are wide open. I respond as quickly as I can. There's 3 different options. You can do weekly at $6.99 a week. There's $19.99 a month with a 3-day trial included, and there's a $219.99 for the year. That's 12 months with 5 free days before commitment. So there's, like I said, 3 different options for the one product that gets you all my plays in each sport at any given time of the year. So right now we have baseball and hockey, baseball with the primary focus. In the fall, of course, we'll do college football and the NFL and when NHL, NBA. I like to do more NBA, during the regular season. I'm not a huge, fan right now in doing the NBA. I like to focus more on baseball and hockey. Of course, I'm a huge college basketball handicapper as well. So, I do a crazy different amount of sports. I don't just do 1 or 2. I'm all year long, so it's worth subscribing all year round because we're doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and you said what, $219.99 for the year?
Yep. So basically $220. So if you do the $219.99, it's basically a month off. You're getting a month off by doing the yearly. Instead of the monthly,
right? And you get, and like you said, you get all those sports. So let me. So the no run first inning, yes run first inning on DraftKings, the sports book. You just go to the first inning tab.
Really easy to find. Yeah. So if you let me go to a game that hasn't started yet. So I'm not doing any. There was none that graded for me today. No NRFIs that graded for me today, but if you go to, say, the Marlins Angels, and you click the first inning tab, there's going to be runs - first inning, and it's going to be over a half, under a half, over 1.5, or under 1.5. You would just simply choose over a half or under a half.
Is that the one you always play, Andy? Do you ever do the one over 1.5?
No, because unless I've never done it personally, but if I feel like the game has a real chance of scoring more than 2 runs in the first inning, if I really hate the pitchers and love the offenses, then but I usually just go straight up NRFI or YRFI. For those, I don't know if Caesars is available in New York State.
Yeah, it is.
It is? Okay. Well, I will say that Caesars gives out, in my opinion, at least, the best pricing from an NRFI or YRFI standpoint. I'll always compare between Caesars, BetMGM, DraftKings, primarily with NRFIs or YRFIs, and Caesars. If I just want to pick based on pricing, Caesars pretty much wins 95% of the time.
Got it.
So I would definitely look at Caesars if you're looking at NRFIs. It's very easy. You just log in, you just click the game, go to the runs tab on the game. If you're on your app, you just click the game. You scroll to your right a little bit. When you go to inning bets, actually, no, it's not inning bets. You have to click on, well, the innings bets is an option, but to get the best pricing, click on runs, and then it'll ask you any run in first inning, yes or no. And the pricing's right there. It's really easy.
So it even simplifies it even more for you on Caesars.
Yeah, because exactly. And I think you get better pricing on Caesars than you do any other book. So,
wow. I'm looking on DraftKings right now, and I see what you're saying, Andrew, with the over to Marlins game tonight. Half a run, minus 105 under, minus 130 over. And then they have some crazy thing at the bottom. First inning correct score. They got everything.
Right. And then if you go to that same game on Caesars right now, if you click on the runs tab and you go to any run in first inning, if you say you want to play the no run first inning, it's at even money.
Oh,
yeah, that's better.
So that's what I'm saying is Caesars more often than not, I'm not going to say it does every time, but more often than not, I believe has the best pricing for NRFIs.
That's good. That's good to know. I think one of the other things, for our listeners, is to go to your Twitter account, and like today, what you did was a $100 giveaway if your bet came in, basically all you had to do was follow you there, retweet the tweet, and like it. You didn't even have to be a VIP member,
right?
And he was given a $100 giveaway.
Wow.
On a 2-leg parlay that he did for Sal Perez to hit a home run and Kyle Schwarber to hit a home run, which paid out $1,045 for a $100 bet. So if he would have hit, he would have taken his 10% of his winnings and gave it to somebody for just tweeting, following those things, just following him on Twitter. So you didn't even have to be a VIP member.
Right.
For that. So
sadly, it didn't happen.
No, but again, I mean, it would have been nice for anyone to just randomly following you on Twitter to just score an extra $100. Plus, on top of that, they could have, it's basically a free chance for them to put a few dollars down and might have hit it themselves. So
they could use that 100 to pay for half of a year's subscription, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, but we'll have more of those throughout the season. I try to put those out there every now and then. I did it for college basketball. I did it for the NBA. We actually did cash in college basketball. What I like to do is find two of the best games out there, especially during conference tournament season, and do the overtime. Yes, on a 2-leg parlay, and we actually did cash one of those earlier this season. It was, and what I did was I did one for college basketball and one for the NHL, because NHL you see overtime games pretty frequently. So I said, okay, here's one of the best games. I think it was like the Dallas Stars and Nashville Predators or something, and then it was Providence and who was it? It was something Providence and UConn or something like that. The game that went into triple overtime late in the season. In the Big East. So that was really nice. So that was one of those examples where actually it did cash, and one of my clients ended up getting the prize. So I do cash from time to time. I try to make it attainable, right? So that way we all have a chance to win, because obviously I want to win, and then I want one lucky member of my my following to win. So
yeah, just again for our listeners, if when they subscribe, how do they get the bets that you put out for the day? Do they get them text, email, both, all the above?
Yeah, it's actually a game changer in my eyes, and one of the reasons I aligned with a company called Dub Club, DUBCLUB, Dub Club. What they do is basically you click on my link. It's dubclub.win/r/ViggyBets in my bio, or you can of course click any of the bit.ly .ViggyBets links that I put out through my Twitter, through all my tweets. Either way, it gets you to my subscription page. You just follow the prompts, you type in your phone number because it is text-based. So all plays will be texted right to you. It's not by me. It's by me through the Dub Club platform. So I'm typing in all my plays. I'll say, so-and-so money line, like Dallas Stars money line or whatever, and then I'll type in my detailed analysis that I do for all of my plays. And then when I click submit, it's texted right away to all my clients. They'll receive it instantly. And it'll basically come through like a text message, and it'll say ViggyBets plays Dallas Stars money line. Click on the text, then you see all the analysis that goes with it and why you pick it, and then go ahead and make your play. So every time I submit, it goes right to you right away. That way you're not scrolling through Twitter on my Twitter feed, trying to find it. I have nearly, in 3 months, almost 200 subscribers, which I think is a pretty damn good number. So once I click submit, it goes out. It's like a mass text to all my clients in their cell phone. So I think a lot of clients really appreciate that because it's so convenient for them. They don't have to worry about trying to find my Twitter account to find my plays. It's right there on their phone for easy convenience, easy review and access. And they can read it and then make their bet right away and get the same pricing that I do. Because that's important, because I try to make sure that anytime I make a play, it's available at multiple books for similar pricing. So that way they can, hopefully enjoy the same success I do.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great for everyone to know. Baseball is upon us. I know you're a huge Braves fan and getting ready for your repeat of the World Series in your mind, of course. In my mind, in Mike's mind, we're hoping a little Yankee baseball take off here this year, but we'll wait and see for that. How you feeling about your Braves this year?
A little up and down to start the season. And that's kind of to be expected with, a team that's coming off winning a World Series. No team has repeated winning the World Series, I believe, since your Yankees, 99-2000, I believe, was the last technical repeat. And I don't think an NL team has done it since the Big Red Machine Reds in the 70s. So It's been a long time since we've seen a team repeat. I'm not panicking at all. We're down 5-1 tonight, I believe. We're 2-2 to start the season. The Braves didn't get to over 500 until August 6th last year.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of different pieces coming back. Acuna's not back yet. He'll be back in a couple weeks. He's doing great in his rehab. We're incorporating Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson into the lineup, which has been great so far. Our pitching's been a little up and down to start the year, but I really believe we'll get things going as the season goes on. I really like our rotation with Max Fried, who obviously pitched that Game 6 last year and could have easily broken his ankle, but somehow didn't. Somehow had some Superman status when his ankle was stepped on in the first inning in that game last year. And Ian Anderson and Kyle Wright, who had a great start a couple days ago against the Reds. So there's a lot to like. I think it's just everybody kind of gelling together. Remember, we had a shortened spring. Everybody had a shortened spring training this year. So I think, the Dodgers just lost 2 out of 3 in Colorado. The Red Sox just lost 2 out of 3 in New York, obviously, which makes you guys happy. And I believe Boston lost today as well at Detroit. So, some of these teams that made the postseason last year are off to relatively slow starts. But I don't see that as a huge concern because, like I said, everybody had a short spring training. There were a lot of moves made last year, pre and post lockout, that teams are getting acclimated to. So, from a Braves standpoint, I'm not too concerned. Obviously, you want to beat up on teams like the Reds and the Nats, but it's a long season. So I'm just excited to have this hat on. I'm excited to see the ring that came out a couple days ago, and it's massive. It's huge. There's so many symbols to it that are just beautiful and lovely for me as a Braves fan. So these first few games for me aren't that concerning. If we get into June, late May, June, and we're struggling, then I'll raise the alarms. But right now I'm just kind of enjoying stuff, enjoying the baseball's back altogether, enjoying cashing 16-5 for my bets to start the season. So I'm just so happy baseball's back in general.
Yeah. What have you included the lockout when you've done your analysis at all yet, or you're not really looking into that as far as how pitchers are ready to start the season, or hitters or anything like that?
No, I just kind of go by what we saw last year, and I don't really take spring training much into account regarding really anything, pitchers or hitters, especially pitchers, because pitchers really just, their goal is to A, stay healthy, and B, just work on their mechanics, work on specific pitches, maybe incorporate another pitch into their arsenal that they were working on during the off season that they couldn't really try competitively yet, that type of thing. So for me, it's really, not fair to judge on that from an NRFI or YRFI or even any kind of betting standpoint. So I just kind of look at, A, what I saw last year, and then B, eventually, within the next 2-3 weeks or so to a month, we'll be able to gather more 2022 data and, specifically use that with regards to handicapping.
Yeah, I find it real interesting how teams are now maxing out pitchers in 5 innings, like starting pitchers, right? They just like throw as hard as you can for 5 innings, give us 70 pitches, and then we'll use 4 or 5 guys out of the bullpen, and that's right. And I think that's the way I think a lot of teams are going. And if a starting pitcher can throw 98, 99 for 6-7 innings, they'll keep him in. But once he hits that 5th inning, they're good with them at this point. It's just,
and that's a risk
game.
That's absolutely
a risk you take. Yep.
I was gonna say that's a risk you take when it comes to, say, your strikeout props, right? And I was fine with it up until today. I was winning all the strikeout props I did up until today when Adrian Hauser, I had the over 3.5 Ks, Milwaukee starter against Baltimore, had some high pitch counts in the first and second inning, I believe first and third inning, that he was taken out, and after 3 2/3 innings with 3 strikeouts. So of course I get hooked on that, unfortunately. And it was like, you couldn't really just let him try to get one more out. That could have been a strikeout. Let him go 4 and not 3 2/3. But no, I mean, that's what can happen, though. I mean, he was in the mid-70s. I think we finished like 76, 77 pitches or something like that. And it really doesn't matter where it is at that point in the game. I think most pitchers right now have pitch counts, especially because of the shortened spring training. They don't want to overextend, especially early on in the season, more than they don't have to. So that there is a risk involved with pitchers with their strikeouts. But the Orioles came into play today having struck out the most per game in all of baseball. So that was my over 3.5 bet, thinking, okay, Hauser's not a strikeout artist, but if he goes 5 innings, he should be able to accumulate 4. But unfortunately, his pitch counts sailed in the first and third innings, kind of resulting in an early exit with 3 strikeouts.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it's a lot of insight here on baseball. A lot of different ways to bet. I think if you're really interested in it, Andy's site is awesome for you. And I think, like you said, if you take one $50 bet and turn it into a few $100 you've paid for the service for the year in basically one day. And he's 16-5, right now to start the season. So, if you won 16 bets and lost 5, and if you on average, let's just say you bet $20 for each bet, you're definitely way into the positive and way into paying for the service, and it's gravy after that. I think So
Right.
I think for people out there that are interested in good safe betting, I think that's what we always talk about, making sure you stay within your means and want a good service that'll provide you with it. It's the way to go. Got it, Andy.
I was just going to say, whoever's listening to this tomorrow and throughout the week, if you come to me on my DMs and say that, hey, you listen to the Vin and Mike podcast, I want to join your VIP, I will give all your listeners who DM me and mention that I was on the show and all that, I'll give them a 14-day free trial on the monthly subscription plan. So make sure that you get your followers. If you want to tweet or if you want to put that on Instagram or whatever, listen to the show, and your listeners want to join my VIP, I'll be happy to give them a 14-day free trial to my subscription. So
that's
great.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely put it out there. And then, of course, anyone that's listening, again, go to ViggyBets on Twitter, DM Andy, say you've listened to Vin and Mike, and then you go from there. So that's great. That's awesome for everybody. I think Mike will DM you right after the show today. So get ready for that.
No, Mike is going right to sleep after the show. No, but in all seriousness, this is we talked about this last show, how when Anthony was on, that he made it was such a simple point, but such a good point, saying you don't have to bet big to win big.
Right.
And with this and these no run first inning, it's about consistency. And you're going to listen to Andy, who really looks at it's all analytical. I mean, he looks at these stats. He knows his stuff. 16-5 is impressive. You continue to follow that pattern. You know what? You start adding to your bank account. So
it's a just about a 7.5 unit profit. There's a lot of my props I do half quarter units for. So for me, it's about, obviously bankroll management, right? And keeping your bankroll management and wager system consistent, and, all the data that goes into that. So keep in mind, so if you're, like Vin said, a $20 bettor and you're paying $19.99, basically $20 a month for my service, the last 7 days, you're up 10.5 units. So that's 10.5 times your initial investment, basically, is your profit. So something to think about there. A simple $20 a month could get you a lot more.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd like to just go into a little NBA, while we're talking. I know the playoffs are starting, well, quote unquote, the playoffs are starting Tuesday, the play-in games, the 7-8 teams play. And, we dug into this before we came on the air, for us to get a little better understanding of again, how the system works. So the 7-8s play Tuesday. The winners automatically become the 7 seed. The loser waits for the 9-10 play-in. The winner of the 9-10 play-in plays the loser of the 7-8, and then the winner of that becomes the 8 seed. So this week we'll have that coming up. Just want to get maybe Mike, some of your feelings about the Nets. They're the 7 seed. I saw that they're still, I think, the 3rd or 4th pick for the NBA championship as far as odds. Some of your thoughts about the Nets?
Well, they're right up there. I mean, they could be a wild card team, so you can't count them out. But when we look at the East, you have Yeah, Miami. My team to win the East is Milwaukee Bucks. I really like the way they've played. I like their depth. But the Nets, I mean, you can't count them out. I mean, especially with that huge trade. And obviously they're going to be a threat. Now, how far they go, I don't know. I do think, again, I like the Bucks to win the Eastern Conference. A team that I'm going to make a real prediction here, Vinny. I don't think the Chicago Bulls are going to go far at all. I was just looking at their stats and where they are, and they're only 2-21 against the top 8 teams in the NBA. So when you have that, and especially without Lonzo Ball, it's going to be hard for them to do anything. So I know the East has been wide open. There's a lot of teams that are right there. But I really say the Milwaukee Bucks could beat the Nets, and I really think that it could be a Suns Bucks finals again. I truly believe that in what we're seeing. So hope I'm right.
I hope you're wrong to a degree. In the Eastern Conference, I've been a Raptors fan for a long time. Raptors, going back to my Vince Carter days, that's where I've been a Raptors fan. So we won the championship a couple years ago with Kawhi and all that, but don't sleep on this Raptors team. They've won 8 of 10. They're 14 games over 500. They're 5th in the West, and I think match up pretty well if they were to face off against the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. And we've beaten the Bucks in the playoffs with Giannis before as well to get to the NBA Finals a couple years ago. So the Toronto Raptors are going to be a tough opponent for whoever they face in the postseason. And I agree with you, though, about the Bulls. I think the Bulls have been fading. They've lost 4 of 10. Lonzo Ball's out for the season. They've just been hampered with injuries, inconsistencies. So the team I am scared about, though, is the Miami Heat play defense, and they play it really well. And they're just such a tough team. For me to beat 4 times in a playoff series, I think the Heat right now are just on a different planet.
Getting back to the Raptors now, you make a good point. I think they're going to be a dangerous team, and you have to give them respect, especially they have Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and now they have young talent Scotty Barnes, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, I like him.
Incredibly awesome, and I think depending on how these brackets shape up, the Raptors could go on a run. So it's hard to choose, but yeah, they're a team that you can't really count out. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and they're plus 3,000 to win the Eastern Conference on DraftKings right now. The Raptors.
That's a bet that I would put in there right now. I mean, obviously small, but a $10 bet on the Raptors at plus 3,000.
Yeah, I mean it goes like this, right? Like Bucks plus 250, Nets plus 350, Celtics and Heat plus 425, Sixers plus 450, and then you just jump right to the Raptors as the next favorite plus 3,000.
It's amazing how the Nets are in the play-in and they're at plus 350. I mean, I get it, but
yeah,
they may not even make it to the actual playoffs. And it's amazing to me the Grizzlies jump in the Western Conference being the number 2 seed. 8 games back from the Suns, obviously. The Suns have number 1 on lock, but, man, the Grizzlies have made a jump.
Watch out for the Grizzlies.
John Morant and company there, and Desmond Bain, who's been an awesome player for them all year. So, yeah, this Grizzlies team is something too.
There's some shooters there. I mean, those guys, they get hot. They make 3 after 3 after 3 like crazy. And they played really well with Morant out for a while throughout the year. I mean, believe me, they're better with him out there, of course. But they showed how good they are, the second cast of these guys without him. And Desmond Bain is the guy that I looked at all year. To me, he was like amazing all year. I really like him a lot. And they're plus 550 to win the West, Memphis.
Solid bet. I mean, they're a young team. That's the only kind of knock on them. But
yeah, I like, Dallas is plus 1,200, Denver's plus 1,300. What do you think about those teams with Luka and the Joker?
You're asking me. I just don't know if they play enough defense, to be honest with you. I feel like sometimes for Dallas it's Luka or it's nothing. I mean, the last time I watched the Mavericks, they got obliterated in DC against the Wizards, who are not going to be a playoff team. They're not even really close to being a playoff team, and I think they're already eliminated, to be honest with you. So for me, Dallas just doesn't really move the needle for me. I mean, Luke is amazing, but they may get out of the first round, but I could even see them losing to the Jazz at this point in round one. So
I got to comment on that. I mean, through his first two playoff appearances, Luka failed to make it out of the first round. So there's a lot of pressure on this team to get there. And I think it's going to be a very difficult matchup with the Jazz. So I think it's going to be very close. But if Dallas does not do this, it's going to be a huge disappointment for them and their fan base because of not making it out of the second round. It's making it to the second round in a long time. So I think they've played good basketball nearly all year long. They've been pretty consistent, and hopefully they'll take that momentum and they could beat the Jazz, but it is not an easy matchup that they drew with this Jazz team. So we'll see.
All right. One last question, Andy, about baseball. Do you do game over-unders on your VIP service?
It's kind of early for me to do that for baseball.
Yeah.
Just simply because, like I said, the pitching data is very new, and I don't have a lot of data on either the hitters or the pitchers right now. So for me, over-unders are not my ideal bet to do. I barely do NRFIs and YRFIs right now. I'm very selective on those. So right now my go-tos are either run lines or props, but I think, we'll see more over-unders as the season goes on and how, the 2022 data will help incorporate, handicapping those bets.
And you can parlay. So if like today, you're two RFIs, you can parlay those two together if you wanted to, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Or you could say we have, more than two. Say we have three or even four, which is kind of rare, at least right now, to start the season. But as the season goes on, I can definitely see that happening. So, you can always round robin them as well. And round robin gives you multiple different combinations to cash. So you might have 4 bets that you put together in a round robin scenario. So you have multiple pairs of bets. So you could have 1-2, you could have 1-3, you could have bet number 1 and 4, and then you could have bet number 2 and number 3, and bet 2 and number 4, and so on and so forth. So it all kind of they pair them together, and it gives you a chance to cash on multiple different bet parlays, if you will, which is called a round robin. So that's another method that you could take advantage of that. And I did that many times last year. So
nice. Mike, you ever do round robins?
I have never done a round robin. I always see it, and it confused me because I didn't know how to do it. So this is pretty informative stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have
never
3
touched
or 4,
it. I mean, I do parlays all the time. Never touched a round robin.
It's good if you have 3 or more, really, because it'll allow you to have a couple different combinations. Mm-hmm. And if both of those hit, then you do pretty well. So
nice.
Good to know.
Definitely try it out next time.
Yeah,
like I said, he's gonna DM you right after the show. COVID and all, he's gonna be there.
Hey, I'll hook you up, man.
All right, Mike. Anything last that you want to talk about, or how you feeling?
No, this was great, informative. I just can't believe again we're on episode 13, and just for our audience, we record this every Monday night. It's been a lot of fun. We always like to get guests like Andy to come in to bring something to the table, and it's just it's been great because we started out this podcast during NFL playoffs, which was, you can't get more exciting than that. What we did, and what we were talking about, and now we talked about, we had our March Madness pool. Now we're moving into NBA playoffs and baseball, so there's always something going on. So we enjoy it, and again, if go to our Instagram page, Vin and Mike podcast. We got a lot of good content there, a lot of good pictures, and a lot of good Instagram stories. People have asked who provides that music. That's me. I do all the music.
Yeah, I think the other good thing, as we hit episode 13, is the amount of different services that you can catch the podcast in now, right? I mean, we are in almost any kind of platform out there that I know of, from Spotify to Amazon Music to Apple Podcasts to Google Podcasts to everything. So, we're excited about that as well. And we're always excited when someone like Andy comes on and brings a lot of good content for you, our listeners. And, and he offered a nice subscription service, a little discount for everybody. We'll make sure we get that out on our Instagram as well. So, you'll see exactly, what it is, and you'll be able to go over to his Twitter, DM him, and get a little discount and make yourself a few dollars, while you're at it. I think that's the big thing. So we're excited about that. So, Andy, thank you again for your second episode with us. Like I said, I think every maybe 11 episodes we'll bring you back.
Good luck.
Definitely. The NFL draft is coming. I know your Steelers are. We'll see what they do. Let's real quick. Before we do end, was Dwayne Haskins' tragic death. Any thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, no, just sadness, right? I mean, obviously things didn't go well for him in Washington, but I think he really did ingratiate himself really well with the Steelers and with the Steelers organization. I mean, how can you not? You have one of the best ownership groups in all of football, if not in my opinion, the best ownership group, and just a stable organization. And I think he really needed that. Whether he was going to be the starter or not, he was at least in the running to be, he was in the running to be a starter. So you never know what could have happened with him. And unfortunately, it's just such a sad situation. I feel so sorry for his wife, and I think it was his wife. I think it was his wife. Yeah, not fiance. Yeah. His actual wife. And they had young lives, and had lots of opportunity ahead of them, and just see it get cut short like that. It's just a tragedy in and of itself. It doesn't matter what the stature of the player is, whether he's a star or whether he's a backup. Any kind of time you see this happen, it's just so sad and so tragic. So
yeah,
especially if he's on my favorite team, the Steelers too. It's even harder. So.
Yeah, I like Tomlin's statement. If people didn't see it, go check out Mike Tomlin's statement on the whole situation. I think that wrapped it up perfectly. As a as a whole. So definitely something. When at the end of the day, it brings us back a little bit, but really, really sad, like you said, and. Steeler Nation will move forward like they've always had. So it's good stuff by Tomlin about exactly what kind of person Haskins really was when he got there to Pittsburgh. So, but again, we're we're excited that we did 13 episodes. We're be excited for episode 14, which will be on tax day. So Mike says for his giveaway, he's going to pay somebody's taxes for them. So we'll see how that works
I
out.
heard the rule for that is the last guest that's on our show.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
On the show is the person you pay taxes for.
All that ViggyBets subscription that you got to write off.
Well, that'll be next year. Man. I started in January. So.
There you go. Perfect time to start.
That's great. Love it.
But again, I think what you're doing is great. It's fresh. Like you said, you've only been doing it basically not even a year yet. And now that you've got your system in place and 200 VIP subscribers, which is great. So, a lot of people are paying attention to what you're doing. A good following there on your Twitter feed as well, and building up every time I go there and check it out. So, really happy for you, really excited for where you're going to be going in the future with this. And we look forward to doing this with you again.
Much appreciated, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Mike, I'll get some sleep, feel better.
Thanks, my friend.
I'll talk to you later.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.